I could just bring a friend, even just to enjoy the company and everything, it would be wonderful. We appreciate you really very much. I'm excited and thrilled that I can have the opportunity. Terry Lynn, which is our programs chairman, could not be here. She's sick, so if you can include her in a prayer, she would appreciate it. She was going to try to make it, but just didn't think that it would be good for us. So I wanted to introduce our speaker, which I have heard him, and y'all gonna love it. He is the East Texas Regional Director for our Senator Ted Cruz. He's from Tyler. And I'm going to let him probably tell you a little bit about himself because I don't have that information. But would you please help me welcome Jason Wright.
Well, thank you so much. And I tell you what, the last time I was here, I told the group that I had not been to Johnny Case's since I was probably, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, and now here I am back again this quick. So I tell you, I'm a very, very blessed man indeed. And before I really get started, what I want to do, I didn't do this the last time I was over here at the Gray County Republican Club, but I'm going to pass this around. If you want to be on Senator Cruz's newsletter or just let me have your email address, which I really appreciate that to keep y'all informed. Just put your name, your phone number, and your email address on here for me. Some of the Republican clubs, they'll share their list with me. Some of them they don't want to, and that's completely understandable. If you want me to have your email address, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay too, because you're going to have mine. And if you get hot enough about something, you'll email me, and then I'll get it. So, all right, so real quickly, I want to tell y'all a little bit about myself, and I also got to share some, tell Senator Cruz I'll be with him after this mount.
On the phone, yes.
The president. Then I won't be calling back.
I owe no money. Yeah.
So, first I thought I'd tell y'all a little bit about who I am, but I've got to set some parameters. I think y'all understand, and those of you who have heard me speak before, you know how it is now that I'm working for Senator Cruz. I can't give speeches per se, and the reason why is because all of us who are regional directors, unless we know that Senator Cruz would say exactly what it is we're going to say where he's standing here, we don't say it, okay? And I completely respect that, and having been an elected official at one time in my life, that was kind of hard to get used to, but after watching Senator Cruz, how hard he worked as a candidate and how hard all of us worked that supported him to get him elected, I certainly don't want to be the guy that says something wrong that he gets in hot water over because of something I said. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you about who I am, how long I've known Senator Cruz, and then give you some of his words and what he is doing in Washington. First of all, one of my proudest things to brag about is the fact that I'm a 5th generation Texan, and I'm a 5th generation East Texan. My family goes back over 100 years in Sulphur Springs. So, so to get to represent my favorite senator in my favorite part of my favorite state on God's green earth is pretty cool, to say the least. I have been self-employed for 2/3 of my business career, and I didn't even realize that until this Christmas. My father-in-law, he was talking to me about my career, and that's whenever I was praying about this position and everything, and he said, well, I told him, I said, you know, it's going to be kind of interesting because I haven't worked for anyone in over 10 years. And he said, yeah, he says, as a matter of fact, I guess you've been self-employed for about 2/3 of your career, and that was true. I started out, I graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University, where not only did I leave with a degree and a job waiting for me, but I left with a fiance who I've been married to now going on 16 years, named Carrie. We have 2 lovely daughters, Rylan and Abby. And I started out in Houston in management consulting, moved to Tyler back in about 10 years ago because I wanted to own my own business and I wanted to raised my daughters in East Texas. I wanted them to grow up where I did. And so I own a real estate brokerage there. Rusty Taco, which y'all saw, is just opened up. That's one of my businesses that I helped get started here in East Texas. We have 2 of them in Tyler. Since I've taken my new job, I'm in much more of a passive role with regard to those things. But I only say all that because I got to tell y'all right now, this job, it is not about me. It's about Senator Cruz and how I can best serve him. But I want y'all to know that Senator Cruz has filled his staff with rock-ribbed conservatives, people who have spent time in the private sector, people who understand the real issues going on in all of our lives, and that's who I'm not a long-time politico. Now, I was a city councilman in Tyler. For any of you who are familiar with Grassroots America, We the People, Joanne Fleming is a very dear friend of mine. As a matter of fact, it was in my conference room in my office as we were sitting in a board of directors meeting for Grassroots America, We the People, that I said, you know what? I said, Grassroots America, We the People needs an executive director. And that executive director needs to be Joanne Fleming. I call them both. And so I'm happy to take credit for the fact that it was my idea that Joanne become the executive director, and she's done a wonderful job. And then at Molly Harrington, I was actually her city councilman. She's a neighbor of mine, and so it's really been great that I've been able to get so involved in East Texas and in East Texas politics. So the way I met Senator Cruz was about 3.5 years ago. I was calling to help with another campaign. And I called a friend of mine in Houston, and I said, I need you to help with this deal. He said, no. He said, I'm not real focused on that race right now. I'm focused on helping my friend, Ted Cruz, get elected. Now, this is back whenever Senator Cruz was going to run for Attorney General, should Attorney General Abbott move on. And I said, well, tell me about it. I said, if you're supporting him, then I probably need to. And so he started telling me about Ted Cruz. And the cool thing about it for me was that he was telling me about a gentleman who had a firm respect and understanding for the Constitution of the United States of America. I love to tell people that my boss is, he was probably nerdier than I was whenever he was in high school. If y'all have ever heard the story, he started a group with some friends that memorized the Constitution word for word and then went out and challenged people to debate it. I think that is so cool. I mean, and so while I was probably riding my bike or hunting or something like that, Senator Cruz was memorizing the Constitution. But anyway, so fast forward to the campaign. Actually, if you received a phone call during the campaign, the likelihood of it being from my conference room in Tyler is probably pretty good, because I've actually donated my office to the campaign to hold phone banks and that sort of thing. And Ben Murray, the field rep, if y'all ever met Ben, he landed in my office, and so I was really thrilled to do that. And then after the campaign was over, and Senator Cruz had won, and he won Smith County, by the way, which I was very thrilled, I get a phone call from John McClellan. And much to my excitement, he said, Senator Cruz wants a district office, a regional office rather, in East Texas, which Senator Hutchinson did not have. And so I was thrilled. And so we started talking about office location, and then the question of, well, do you have anyone in mind that would be good for a director? And I said, we need to find someone that obviously is very conservative. We need to find someone that hopefully is plugged into the business community as well as the political community. And I just kind of said nonchalantly, I said, we need to find somebody kind of with my profile. Is very involved, has a state reach, is really involved in the conservative movement. And so John McClellan kind of laughed, and he said, well, I got to tell you, this is kind of a fishing expedition. Would you consider it? And I'm telling y'all, I'm sitting here, I'm selling tacos and real estate, and raising 2 daughters, and and trying to help Senator Cruz get elected, which that worked out. It caught me completely by surprise. but man, what an honor. And so I said, well, I don't know. I said, I have to talk to my wife about it and pray about it, and which we did. I told Carrie, and she's like, well, that's interesting. And so it came to pass that, you know, for me, the decision was, okay, this is someone that I truly believe is going to offer sound, principled, constitutional leadership in the United States Senate. I firmly believe Senator Cruz is the right man for a time such as this. And so, with that, and a lot of prayer, I said, absolutely. Now, here's the cool thing about this, and now I'm going to get into kind of what a regional director is and what it does, because I get that question a lot, like, what do you do? And since it's the first real job I've had in 10 years, I have to, you know, kind of go, well, I'm not sure. But no, in reality, he goes through all the trouble of getting elected, going all over the state, trying to get votes, and then the end game for him was to go spend all that time in Washington, D.C. I get to be his eyes and ears and his boots on the ground in East Texas. So frankly, I think I got the better end of the deal. And essentially, that's what we are. As regional directors, we are your ears, your eyes, the boots on the ground. When you have a concern or anything that you believe needs to be addressed by Senator Cruz, then call me, email me, anytime. Anytime. You know, I often describe the job as being basically a city councilman for the United States Senate. And I happen to think that I've got the greatest boss in the world, so it makes my job really fun. It's funny, y'all appreciate this. We do a Friday conference call with staff every Friday. And already in Houston and Dallas, there have been some protests. You know, and especially whenever some of the gun control legislation was coming out, and Senator Cruz was very vocal on those issues. And so they, exactly, this kind of proves my point. I kind of chuckled and I said, well, the closest thing that I'm probably going to have in East Texas to a protest is a rally in support of Senator Cruz. I said, so far, everyone is happy to see me coming. They're saying, good job, keep up the good work, keep doing what you're doing. And just a little insight that I think that y'all would like to know, because it's really, really cool to have watched Senator Cruz go from that shoestring budget of a campaign going on 4 years ago with he and my boss in Austin, John Drogan, driving all over the state, introducing this guy that's a Solicitor General, which most people, they don't even know what a Solicitor General is, that wants to be our United States Senator. To go from that to now, like last Friday, have Senator Cruz get on the staff call, and it's the same guy that started out 4 years ago. And one of the things I can tell y'all about Senator Cruz that has been probably the most surprising to him, and to us to a certain degree, but really to him, is that all this attention that he's receiving for doing his job. I mean, Senator Cruz is truly a humble servant. He's not trying to grandstand. He's just trying to be the absolute best United States Senator he could possibly be. He's trying to ensure that our constitutional rights and values are protected. And that brings me back to one of the things I love to tell about him whenever people ask me, a Solicitor General, what in the world is a Solicitor General? I said, well, it's very simple. Whenever our constitutional rights were at risk of being violated,